Rivian has made some pretty notable changes to their lineup that I wanted to cover today, and it's mostly bad news, but if you're an optimistic person, you can just look at updated timelines as a good thing. But basically, the positive side is the Ocean Coast delay is near over, because Rivian is just now starting to mass produce vehicles with the Ocean Coast interior, and deliveries should start within the next couple months. But the downside is Ocean Coast is not going to look like they intended. So I did not realize I was looking at such a rare exclusive prototype back when I checked out the Rivians at the First Mile event, because they had a pickup truck there with the Ocean Coast interior, and it had that very bright light wood stretching across the entire dash. And if you've checked out Rivian stories before, you've heard them talk about how difficult it is to make light wood like that and have it age, especially when it's going to be in the sun all the time. It's known for cracking, it's known for yellowing, and based on their discussions with that light wood and how tricky it is to get right, it sounds like Rivian was having a hard time getting that design to work as well. So the compromise is, in an effort to get vehicles out and stop delaying Ocean Coast, they had to tinker the design. So now Ocean Coast is going to come with a dark wood interior, which definitely makes it a lot less bright in my opinion. And if we're just talking personal preference, I thought the lighter wood looked a lot cooler and I would have preferred that. But I totally honor and respect Rivian's decision, because there's a decent chance that they came up with that as a prototype and clearly showed it to a lot of people like me that enjoyed it. But once they started realizing this is not going to age very well and it's very difficult to mass produce, maybe we were showcasing something that we can't really deliver on. And I do think that compromising on the design and going with something that's not as light and doesn't pop as much as the old interior is the better decision to make over just, let's ship it anyway, and if it starts yellowing or if it starts cracking over time, oh well, I guess you'll just have a crappier interior. Yeah, that would have been a bad way to go about it. So I appreciate them at least caring for the future of the company and acknowledging that, hey, sometimes you gotta make compromises on a vehicle when you're trying to deliver it, and you can't just keep delaying this thing forever. So they did announce that there will be new vegan leather wrap options for that big stretch on the dashboard as well. So in the future, you'll be able to configure a more lighter shade over that wood, or even a darker shade, which makes that interior pop a little bit more than the dark wood would. Oh, wow, okay. Tongue twister on that one, but still, I'm a little bit bummed that we'll never see that OG Ocean Coast interior in the way it was presented. Maybe the aftermarket will come up with some light wood wrap texture and try to make it a reality. But there's also a bit more bad news if you were hoping to buy a Rivian in the future and were hoping that they would get cheaper, because Rivian announced today that they no longer plan on building the Explore package, which was the cheaper tier than the Adventure package, and this one was missing a few luxury features like the towing hooks and the ventilated seats, and they were not going to sport the gear guard cable or the wood in the interiors, and overall just not have quite as good a sound system. But I think a lot of people were excited for Rivians to be more affordable, but unfortunately that means between the R1T and an R1S, there's about a $5,000 price hike. So before, Rivian was advertising that the R1T started at $67,500. Now they're saying the cheapest R1T you can buy starts at $73,000, and the R1S used to be advertised as starting at $72,500. Now it's saying it starts at $75,000, which is probably an indication of what happens when the tax credit is now officially passed, and starting next year, everybody's going to get a point of sale $7,500 off the vehicle. Rivian can get away with doing stuff like this because they're like, well, you know, it's technically under 80 grand, so if you're buying the base model and it's getting that tax credit, it's still technically cheaper than it was before. But for sure, there was definitely a lot of people that were hoping to get those future vehicles with that $7,500 tax credit, and maybe some of you were hoping to get an R1T for around $60,000, and now that's probably not the case. So I do admire them streamlining production a bit, because that's absolutely what they need to do in order to hit their guidance of 25,000 vehicles delivered by the end of this year. Price hikes are a bummer, but similar to how Tesla went through production hell and figured out how to simplify their lineup, not have so many options, and that helped them catch up on demand as well as start turning a profit, I think Rivian is starting to learn a lot of those similar things and realizing, yeah, it's going to be too much for us to keep making all of these different trims. Let's slim it down a bit. So the Explore package is no more. And if you ordered your Rivian before March 1st, they're saying that your price was locked in, but I'm still not entirely sure what's going to happen to the people that ordered the Explore package. They're likely going to have to pay the difference, so they have to pay a little bit more than they were expecting for their truck, but they probably don't have to pay the current today's prices of the R1T or R1S. So not the best news for Rivian in the world, but silver lining thing that I just want to compliment them with is, with the R1T, they are still advertising the Max Pack in the visualizer. So you can't configure one technically anymore because they're not letting people lock in prices because of how long the wait times are. But if you go to the visualize a Rivian, even though that Explorer package is gone, they still let you check out a Max Pack 400 plus mile range, which I know a lot of people are interested in. And we know Rivian is cutting out options and changing things to prioritize production efficiency, but it's a good sign for a lot of you that want more range than 300 miles that Rivian at this point seems to still intend on eventually making the Max Pack, and probably in the coming years also working on the dual motor variants, which RJ has said they've been testing, as well as the standard battery pack option, which will be using lithium iron phosphate. That one I'm very excited for because it will let you charge to 100% every day, should have a high cycle life. I'm just a bit bummed now that the cheapest Rivian is over $70,000 and there's not really a way to get one cheaper, but that's likely inevitable when Ford is raising prices on the Lightning and so many people want these electric pickup trucks. I'm seeing more Rivians in my area, even though they've only delivered, I think, around 7,000 or 8,000 at this point. I'm still pretty surprised how often I'm seeing them. Like, I saw one just behind me at a parking lot the other day and I was like, hey, this is a beautiful electric truck, and I'm glad that the company has a lot of cash on hand. I hope they can continue to ramp up. I think as far as electric vehicle startups that have delivered vehicles, Rivian looks the most promising, and while these are hard decisions, I do think they are right decisions. So good on you, Rivian, for streamlining production. Let me know what you guys think of the updated Ocean Coast interior. Some of you may prefer the new look. I'm curious if you do, and if you missed the old one, is it a deal breaker? And are any of you canceling your orders because you were really hoping for the Explorer package? All that stuff, let me know what you're thinking down below, and thank you to everyone on Patreon supporting this channel directly. Seriously, helps us out a ton, as does just watching these videos. So thanks again. Have an excellent rest of your day.